Okay, this is a little review for Chapter 2 test. These are the type of problems that students are going to have to be able to do on their test. We're going to actually do a pre-test, and these questions are right off of the pre-test, so they can follow along at home with their pre-test and make sure that they're thinking of how to do these problems correctly. Okay, so here we have a negative number plus a positive number. Okay, the rule here is that we actually subtract, and we put the number that with the sign that's furthest from zero is how we determine if it's going to be a negative or positive number. Okay, so in this case here, if we subtract or find the difference between 36 and 27, okay, that's 9. Okay, and since the number furthest from zero is negative 36, then it's going to be negative 9. Now there's other ways students can think about this problem. If it's 36 below zero outside and it warms up 27 degrees, what's the temperature? Well, it's going to be negative 9. Now here we have what are called absolute value symbols. Absolute value by definition is how far a number is from zero on a number line. So in this case here, we take this and it's going to be a positive. Negative 24 is 24 places from zero. So the absolute value of negative 24 is 24. And the absolute value of 15 is 15. So now we add 24 and 15. So our answer here is 39. Okay, this problem here, also absolute value. Absolute value is always positive because it's how far a number is from zero. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's in a negative or positive direction. How many spaces is it from zero on a number line? So the absolute value of 25 is 25. Okay, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. So we have 25 minus 3, okay, which is going to be 22. Okay, so our answer there, 22. All right, here are some other type problems. Now this is multiplication. Okay, we got a negative times a negative. Okay, negative times a negative is a positive. And those are rules that students should have memorized when it comes to the rules for negative times a negative and negative times a positive. Okay, so this is going to be a positive answer. So we're going 54 times 4. Now I encourage students to they could do this in their head, but they have to be a little bit careful. They might be better off setting it up. 54 times 4 and carrying out the multiplication. 16, 1 up, okay, positive 216. A lot of the students will do this in their head and they'll make a mistake on it. It doesn't take much longer to write it out, make sure, especially on a test, make sure they get the right answer. Okay, here now we have a division problem, two negative numbers. Okay, once again, I would set it up and do the long division instead of trying to do it in their head. The first number you read always goes inside the box in the long division. So 91 inside the box, 7 on the outside. It's going to be a positive answer. You can determine that even before you do any of the work. So 7 goes into 9 once. I subtract here, bring my 1 down. 7 goes into 21 3 times. There's my answer. I feel pretty confident about it, whereas when you're doing it in your head, sometimes you don't have that feeling that you do when you've actually carried out and broke it down step by step. Here's another one, negative 5 times 16. This is going to be a negative answer because you got a negative times a positive. Okay, so 16 times 5, this is going to be a negative answer. We get 30 here, 3 up, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 80, so negative 80. Once again, showing work and just thinking a little bit, working your way through it, less likely to make mistakes. Okay, here now we have to put inequality symbols. Inequality symbols are greater than, less than, equal to. Okay, we gobble up the bigger number or point it to the smaller number is a good way to place it. A good way to think about it is think of a number line, or think of temperature. We live here in the Upper Peninsula where temperatures get below zero, so I think most students have a pretty good idea that a below zero temperature is colder, than an above zero temperature. So in this case here, negative 24 Okay, this number here is smaller than this number, so we gotta get our inequality symbol in right. We're gonna gobble up the bigger number, and this where we read this as 11 is greater than negative 24. Okay, this here now, we're gonna gobble up the larger number again, which is going to be negative 7. Negative 8 is less than negative 7. Just like 8 below 0 is colder than 7 below 0. It's further left on a number line. That's what makes it a smaller number. Now here we have a situation where x is 10. So I got to substitute 10 in here. Okay, so now I have 10 minus negative 1. And when we did these in class, we did a process called adding the opposite. So we add the opposite. Okay, so that becomes 11. Okay, 10 minus negative 1 is positive 11. Somewhat confusing, but that's the correct answer. So now we're comparing 11 with 15. Okay, and 11 is less than 15. We're gobbling up the larger number. Okay, here we are graphing in all 4 quadrants. Okay, so now if we have 2 positive numbers that we're graphing, that would be in this quadrant. Okay, the first number is going left or right, and the second number is up or down. I tell students, imagine that first number like putting a number on a number line. If you were to construct a number line, most of us would construct a number line horizontally. So that first number is like working on a number line. So if I graph, let's say 3, 2, I'm going to go over 3 and up 2. That's going to be right there. That is 3, 2. Okay, now let's say I did negative 3, 2. Well, that's going to be over here. I go negative 3, and then up 2 is going to put, that's negative 3, 2. Okay, now let's say this time I'm going to do negative 3, negative 2. Now I'm going to move 3 this way for negative 3, and then down 2 is going to put it right here. That's negative 3, negative 2. Okay, and let's get a point over in this quadrant. Let's go 3, negative 2. We'll stick with this theme. Okay, so 3 for our first number, 1, 2, 3, and then negative 2 for our second number is going to place it right there. That is 3, negative 2. So that's graphing in all 4 quadrants. Okay, and one of the last things we're going to look at here is solving where we have to substitute for variables. Okay, S is 3, so I put 3 in here. T is 4. Okay, so this means multiplication here. This is not 23, it's 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, here I have 3 times 4, which is 12. Now, my last step is to add these 2 together. Okay, 6 plus 12 is 18, so 18 is my answer. Now here, RST, R is negative 2, S is 3, and T is 4, minus S once again is 3, and T is 4. This information is given in the problem, they just got to substitute it in. So if I do this, I can do it in any order I want. This is going to be negative, by the way, because I have a negative number. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. Minus 3 times 4 is 12. So negative 24 minus 12. Here's where we add the opposite. Add the opposite. The opposite of 12 is negative 12. So negative 24 plus negative 12 is negative 36. Okay, and those are the type of problems I give students trouble because they don't feel right. When you're adding the opposite, there's something about that that doesn't seem right. But you just got to go with it, and it is the easiest and most non-confusing way, I guess, to do those type problems. Okay, one last thing here. This is multiply. Negative 4 times 12, and then we don't know what y is, so we're simplifying this down. This is going to be negative 48y. We just put the variable with it. Here, a negative 6 times a negative 5 is a positive 30. Okay, now we put our variables s and t with it. S, T, just like that. Here we're going to find the average or mean of 4 numbers. Add your negative numbers. That's negative 5. Okay, your positive numbers, there's just 1. Okay, so negative 5 plus 1 is -4, and now we're gonna divide that by the number of numbers. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, so -4 divided by 4 is -1. So the mean or the average of this group of numbers right here, okay, is -1.